Here's our NFL draft analyst Leger Douzable's top 5 defensive backs in this year's draft class. Top of the list, Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati, followed by fellow cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. Then it's a pair of safeties in Notre Dame's Kyle Hamilton and Georgia's Lewis Cine. Number 5 on his list is Washington's Trent McDuffie. Each of those players off the board by pick 39 of Ryan's latest full 7th-round mock. And let's now welcome in Leger Douzable for a deeper look at his list. Leger has broken down the tape on these guys and is here to give us strengths and weaknesses. So let's start at the top. Sauce Gardner, what are his strengths and weaknesses for you?
Yeah, I mean, this guy exudes confidence, and with a nickname like Sauce, what more do you expect? This guy is very confident, and when you're playing on the island, you have to be confident because you're not going to win every single battle. Now, he didn't lose many at Cincinnati, but you got to have that confidence at the cornerback position. He's also a willing tackler, right? And I think that's so important and a facet of his game that people aren't talking about enough. With offensive teams scheming up secondary members, safeties, and corners to make them tackle one-on-one situations, you see it all the time with the Tennessee Titans. When they run that zone and that stretch, they want to get Derrick Henry on a secondary member. So Sauce Gardner being willing to tackle is big. Now, some of his weaknesses, he's a slender-built guy, 6'2", about 190 pounds. And I honestly believe at his pro day, he was in the 180. So you worry about his play strength, right? Those bigger receivers coming off the line of scrimmage, getting hands on them, but he does a good job playing with length. And then he can also be handsy at times, right? 9 penalties in the last 2 seasons between defensive pass interference and defensive holding. So he has to work on some of those fundamentals. But Sauce Gardner coming in day one is going to be one of your starting corners. He's going to elevate your defense. And even though he likes to be on the island, has the skill set to be a really good zone coverage corner and go and get the ball and intercept it.
And a 4.4 40-yard dash. He's got the 3rd biggest wingspan of all cornerbacks in the draft, too. That will certainly help him when you're out on that island. All right, LSU's Derek Stingley Jr. opted to skip his senior season in Baton Rouge, declare for the draft. He's a 3rd-generation collegiate player. His father and grandfather went to Purdue. How does he measure up?
This is a well-built corner with exceptional ball skills. He does a really good job of knowing when to turn his head and go attack the ball at a high point. Derek Stingley Jr. in 2019 was some of the best film I ever seen at the cornerback position. Shows really good patience and good footwork. So when he's in zone coverage, he knows what route combinations are coming, and he knows how receivers and offenses are trying to attack him. But the thing about him, it's durability, right? I talked about the 2019 season. Well, we haven't seen much of him since then. Missed 3 games in the 2020 season and missed the final 9 games last year due to the Liz Frank injury. And then at times on film, it seems like he's just bored, uninterested. Now, I don't know if that's because he's so talented and at times he doesn't need his best to go out there and lock somebody down. But scouts and talent evaluators have said he doesn't have that alpha mentality that most corners have. So if you're a team picking a guy like Derek Stingley in the top 10 to 15, you have to do your due diligence to make sure he's going to be locked in when you take him that high. But if you do take him and you do get that 2019 Derek Stingley, you get the best DB in this draft. Not the best corner, not the best safety, the best DB in this draft. But that's a big if.
And football runs in his family. His father spent 24 seasons as a semi-pro arena football player. All right, let's talk about a couple of safeties, starting with Notre Dame's Kyle Hamilton. Hamilton also opting to skip the final season of eligibility to enter the draft. Strengths and weaknesses for Hamilton.
Yeah, Jeremy, he's very versatile. As a defensive coordinator, you're going to be excited when he comes in day one because he played so many different positions at Notre Dame. They had him as a dime linebacker. They had him in the slot covering the slot receiver. They had him as a deep middle safety. They had him in the box. So versatility is a big thing for him. And he's a surefire tackler, right? He does a really good job of coming to balance, not taking bad angles to ball carriers and getting them on the ground. Some of the things that do concern you, though, is his physicality, right? A guy that's at 6'4", 220 pounds kind of reminds you of Cam Chancellor, and we knew the physicality that Cam Chancellor brought to the Legion of Boom. But, you know, Hamilton doesn't play like that all the time. There's times on film where they send him on blitzes and he wasn't able to get the sack. He actually didn't have a sack in his college career. And there's other times when receivers are blocking him or tight ends are blocking him, and he just doesn't use that frame well to get off blocks and make plays in the backfield. Another thing that kind of concerns me is his speed. And I know everybody's enamored, and we just saw the clip of that interception versus Florida State. But if you look at it, the quarterback was already rolling to the right. Now, there was a good job by Kyle Hamilton getting that pick and showing some range, but there's also another clip in that game where he's supposed to be the deep middle safety, and he doesn't have the range to get there. And I think that's, if you look at his 40 time at the 4.59, that's kind of indicative of that. So I don't think he has the over-the-top speed, but he does have game speed. Either way, when you get him in from day one, he's going to be your starting safety, and the defensive coordinator is going to be excited because you're going to be able to move him to so many different positions. And you got to have safeties that can cover in this league because tight ends are very athletic, running backs are very athletic, and sometimes as a safety, you got to be able to cover that slot receiver, and Kyle Hamilton can do all three.
As you mentioned, 4.59 at the Combine, ran 4.7 at his pro day, but also, as you said, plays fast, so he's a guy that certainly will be attractive. Ryan Wilson's latest mock has him at 12th, going to the Vikings in round 1. All right, Georgia safety Louis Cine grew up in Haiti. He was a soccer player initially, other type of football, I guess you could say. His
just
mother,
like me.
Exactly, just like you. His mother, who now lives in Chile, has never been to the United States, though she may want to come over to see him play if he gets drafted. What makes Cine an attractive prospect?
Yeah, Jeremy, this is one of my favorite players in the draft because he's a tone setter, right? When you turn on the film, you see Louis Cine pop off right away. Like when he hits you, you feel it. And then he plays extremely fast. And we saw that at the 40, in his 40-yard dash, he ran a sub 4.4. So he actually plays at that speed. When he hits guys, he hits them at sub 4.4 speed. And he has really good range. Now, some of the things he needs to work out, I talked about him being a tone setter, right? Sometimes he can be a little bit too aggressive and be out of control when he's coming downhill to make a tackle on a running back, and he misses a few tackles. And then also ball tracking, right? There was times that he was going for the big hit instead of tracking the ball right now. So if you can get a good secondary coach to hone in some of that aggression, to use that athletic ability, you can get a really good safety in Louis Cine because sometimes he's so worried about getting that big hit that he left a few interceptions on the field. I believe coming in from day one, he's going to be a guy that starts. And to me, he has the biggest upside out of every safety in this draft class because of the athletic ability and because of the speed.
And you look at that value as well. I mean, you have him on your list as one of your top 5, but I mean, in Ryan's latest mock, he has him going to the Jets at number 38, so just into the second round. Good value for a player there that could be a bit underrated. All right, Washington
that'd be
quarterback.
Immense value.
You like that value?
Yeah, immense value in the second round. I like the second tier safeties in this group. And Louis Cine, who may not get out of the first round, if you get him in the second round, that's great value for sure.
Great steal for you. All right, Washington quarterback Trent McDuffie started playing flag football when he was 6 years old. Then he switched to tackle football when he was 7. And, of course, he's never looked back. 94 tackles in 3 years for the Huskies. What do you have for him?
Yeah, this is a tough competitor. This is a guy that will insert himself in a running game, and you don't see many corners do it at the University of Washington. At the University of Washington, they sent him on blitzes multiple times throughout the game, and he got to the quarterback and affected him. And this guy just plays hard. There's so many times on film you see him as the backside corner, run somebody down on the front side because he plays with an elite effort. He also plays with really good footwork and does a really good job of closing down receivers and in different route combinations. At the University of Washington, they played a lot of off-man coverage and zone coverage. So he had to have that really good footwork to be able to break on receivers and different routes and not waste too much movement as far as getting downhill and breaking down on those receivers. Some of the things that kind of worry you, though, is his size. He's 5'10", so some of those bigger receivers on comeback routes where he can't really fight through them because they get big, kind of like a power forward in basketball, boxing you out, you worry about that. And then his arm length, I believe only 29 inches. The big, tall receivers in the NFL going up those 50-50 jump balls in the red zone. How many times have we seen receivers go up for the fade? Will he be able to contest those? Now, he did jump a 38-inch vertical at his pro day, so that will help him a lot. But that short arm length kind of gives you some concerns about Trent McDuffie outside of the cornerback position. I believe from day one, he'll start in the slot position, the nickel slot position, which he did a lot at the University of Washington, with the ability to grow into a starting cornerback on the outside. But you're going to get an ultimate competitor that is willing to hit in the run game and will compete, play in and play out.
Yeah, 58 inches, 29 per arm. A little bit of an under-the-radar guy. And he wears number 22 in honor of his older brother, Tyler, who passed away when he was in the 8th grade. Nice tribute there. He is former NFL defensive end, CBS Sports football analyst Leger Douzable, giving us his strengths and weaknesses of his top 5 defensive backfield players 1 week until the draft. Leger, thanks for hopping on with us. Top of the list, of course, Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati, followed by fellow cornerback Stingley Jr. Then it's a pair of safeties in Notre Dame's Kyle Hamilton and Georgia's Lewis Seen. Number 5 on Leger's list is Washington's Trent McDuffie. Each of those players off the board by pick 39 of Ryan Wilson's latest full 7-round mock over on CBSSports.com.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.